All right, everybody. So we should be officially live on Facebook right now. What's up, everybody? Hopefully, people are hopping on. Just if anyone's watching this like at a later date and time than it is right now, we did this live. So skip ahead a minute or so. You can get into the good stuff. But yeah, as everyone hops on, just want to say what's up. Hope you're doing well. And hopefully you could all hear us and see us okay. If you can, please write in the comment box. Just say like, yes, I could hear you or something like that. Just say yes. That'll work. Make sure we got the audio connected here. I'm excited. Good. We got hello Jeannie, hello Magdala, hello Denise, hello Bob Marley. Cool. Okay, good.
Marley Bob.
Marley Bob, yes. Good. Rose could hear us. Saxon is here. Oh, what's up, Saxon? Cool. So yeah, for everybody that I guess is new to Dropship Lifestyle and myself and Michael, just want to introduce him quickly. Michael Erickson has a couple companies. One is searchscientists.com. Another one is Ad Badger. There might be some more. Those are the two big ones. And Michael helps people with pay-per-click ads, whether that be on Google, on Facebook, on Amazon. So really his company handles PPC for a lot of big e-commerce players. So we've been friends for, I guess, years now, and we've been working together for years as well. Michael has spoken at 2 of our retreats. He's actually going to be out in Bali this year as well, giving a presentation. And he's also created the Google Ads course for e-commerce, which lives inside of Dropship Lifestyle. So Michael, thanks for hanging out on this call. And for everyone that doesn't know you yet, you want to talk a little bit about yourself and Search Scientists?
For sure. So I started doing PPC freelancing probably 8 or 9 years ago at this point. And I really, really connected with like how fun it is. And the way that I always like to think about paid traffic is it is kind of like a competitive game where it's you versus the competition, and you have all the same resources as the competition does, and you're trying to use your resources in a better way to beat your competition. So since first dipping my toe into the water for paid traffic years and years and years ago, I've just absolutely enjoyed it so much. And it continues to evolve, which is why it made total sense for us to update the course. I mean, I think before this most recent update, I think it was like 2015. And we made some spot updates like we normally do when like big things changes. But the entire course is completely redone. And really, what I think is so nice about this course is that it's really built on using the knowledge that we have acquired at Search Scientists, like managing. Currently, we manage about 10 million clicks a year for our clients. And you know what? The other day, we just had a Google rep send us an email, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to be in Dallas. We're here in Austin. I'm going to be in Dallas, but I want to come and see you guys." And we were like, "Really? Like us? They're going to drive from Dallas to come see us?" But we're actually just told by them that we're actually in the top 3% of all Google partners.
Wow.
Yeah,
and they have a lot of partners. That's
news.
massive.
We're all really excited about it. And what that allows us to do is basically we get like beta access to certain things a little faster now. We actually have they assigned like 3 Google representatives to us that we can like call on to get extra insight into different campaigns and whatnot. So it was a really cool little moment that just happened, about 2 weeks ago. So based here in Austin, and love PPC.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And like for everyone wondering too, like with inside of Dropship Lifestyle, you probably realize like with all the trainings, like I probably create 90% of it. But then we have Laura, who's my sister, also our web designer. She does the Shopify design because she's great at that. And then people ask me like why I don't teach the Google ad stuff. And it's because, we run it for a small amount of stores, where Michael's company, like he's just saying, 10 million clicks a year is a lot more than we'll ever deliver to our properties. So it's a lot more insight and just a lot more information. And it's something that we say with pay-per-click for our own stores too. Like when we spend money, basically what we're doing at first, and I know Michael, this is what you teach as well, like you're buying data. You're trying to see what people are getting impressions on, what people are clicking on, what people are buying. So the more data the better you're going to do. Like data is king here. And if you can get that and leverage it from other resources, it's a huge win. So I guess speaking on that, if people have, questions, definitely put them in the chat box. And what we'll do kind of is like glance over there throughout this, and I'll post them up on the screen. So any questions, whenever you have one, just type it in. But I'm curious, with all this data and everything that, you guys do at your company, what are some things that you see that are either working now or that you think are going to start working now that maybe weren't, even last year or even last quarter? Like what's changing?
Yeah, I love it. When I made this course, it was a great moment of like reflection, right? Like getting time to look at the old course, and like I actually like rewatched the old course, looked at the old PowerPoint that I used, mapped out, and like we discussed back and forth like what new things should be put in there, how much longer I thought it would be, and all these different things. So I think one of the biggest changes from like 2015 to today is the amount of demographic and audience data that Google has. It's so interesting because Google has access to all the same demographic information as Facebook ads does. Mm-hmm. So when we think of Facebook ads, we think of it as a really good way to get in front of a specific type of person. Like they like horseback riding, and they are women, and they are aged 25 to 35, and they live in Texas, for example. At one point in time, we all thought that Facebook was the only place to like target that person. What Google has done a really good job of over the years is managing that data, because they have access to so much data. Like they have Google Analytics, which is on almost every website. Mm-hmm. They know sort of what we're searching. They have all this information available to them. So what we're starting to see is Google being able to utilize that like audience and demographic information in a really smart way. Mm-hmm. So, one exciting thing that more and more e-commerce stores are doing are YouTube ads. And what's so incredible about YouTube ads is that you can target a specific channel. So if I wanted to run ads, on Dropship Lifestyles, people are watching it, and like I can get a sidebar ad.
I've seen search scientists up there. Yeah. I know what you guys are doing. Good move.
So the level of specificity that you can get with that is just as good, if not better, than you can on Facebook. So on Facebook, mm-hmm. if you have a name of a competitor and you go to Facebook and you type them in, you might not actually see them, meaning they might not pop up as a targeting option. So having Google really start using their audience and demographic data is really, really valuable. And to give you an example of that, not only is it, and by the way, people can, if you want a good idea of this, you can go to ads.settings.google.com, and you can actually see all the settings that Google has about you. And I actually just pulled mine up with how good it is. So they got the age right, 25 to 34. They know that I'm a male. They know I'm looking at some different brands that I use. In fact, Dropship Lifestyle is on here. So it actually knows that I'm Googling, or I'm doing research on it. It knows, in fact, on here, I've been planning my trip to Bali. That's on here too. So it's got a lot of information about me, just based off some search history. And then the way to start thinking about that is that you can take that audience information and start prioritizing your ad targeting. So let's say you sell rowing machines. So you can go and target the keyword rowing machine. And then you can take it one step further. You could say, everyone searching the word rowing machine and who have been to my website previously. And then you could take it a step further. Everyone searching rowing machine visited my site previously, and they're on a mobile phone, and who are male 25 to 34, and who are in Texas, if that's a really high converting state for me. Yeah. So, to close that thought loop, that's definitely one of the biggest changes that I've noticed in Google over the last 3 years, is how well they've incorporated this level of audience data onto their entire platform.
Yes, and for anyone that's wondering like how to find that, like it's interesting, and also I guess to build on that though, it seems like since Facebook has been going through all this legal stuff, like they're taking
Hmm.
away things, and
Yep.
Facebook, it used to seem like you mentioned, had so much more data on everybody, and they still have the data, but now in the ad accounts you're seeing less and less, and you have access to less and less, and it was almost like Google was trying to catch up, but now Google is so far beyond them
Mhm.
with what you could see. So yeah, we're getting some really good insights into our customers, and
Yeah.
even into people that just visit our sites and don't buy. We're able to see like who they are just
Yeah.
by going into the audience tab. It's in Google Ads
Mhm.
on the top where it says shared audience. Yeah,
Yeah.
shared audiences. If you have like an audience of people that have bought from you or just website visitors, it'll just show you right there, like Michael was saying, like the age range, where they're from, what they're
Mhm.
interested in. Like it's all right there, right in your
Yeah.
dashboard. Just yeah,
Mhm.
for you to go through and make moves
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
And it's really, Google definitely played it right. Like Facebook probably did too much demographic information too
Mhm.
soon. They made too much available to too many advertisers, and you could
Yep.
see if they, certain advertisers got exploited. Facebook has not had the best press over the last maybe 12 months.
Yep.
Google like has the exact same information, but they just managed it in a very good, a much better way.
Yes.
So audiences is one of the biggest updates. Um, yeah, I see that we have questions coming in. I mean, I
Yeah.
have more
Yeah.
points.
Let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and we'll go through some questions now. And I think I haven't used this software we're using right now in a while, but I think if
It's
I click
pretty
this
good.
button, it'll pop
Yeah.
it up on the screen. Yeah, let's see. We have Jamie. What's up, Jamie? Jamie says, do you recommend day parting overall once you have enough data collected? What are
Hmm.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. And I think if anyone follows me, they know the way that I like to answer questions. So, should you do day parting? Absolutely. And then the second part of this question is really interesting too, once you have enough data collected. So, I think those are the key words there, enough data collected. So, for example, if you just launched campaigns and you're only spending $500 and just for anyone who doesn't know, what is day parting? So that's basically treating different hours of the day, different days of the week differently. So instead of treating your bids and your ads the same throughout the week, you're basically saying, hey, maybe Monday at 2 a.m., I should be bidding differently than I do Monday at 2 p.m. So that's basically what day parting is. It's breaking the week up into hour segments and then changing your bids. So in general, the good thing about Google is that it's pay-per-click, meaning you're not charged unless people are actually searching for it. So sometimes people are like, well, I have this feeling, and this is an interesting thing because we like to believe that PPC is a very cold, logical, math-based process, but in actuality, there's a lot of emotion that goes into it. So I talk to people all the time that say, it feels like I want my ads to be turned off in the middle of the night. It feels like I don't want my ads to show up for the weekend. So things like that, I always say, well, what's the data telling us? What can we do to let the data tell us the move to make? So that's the second part of this question, enough data collected. So let's say you have a 1% conversion rate. That means one conversion out of every 100 clicks.
Mhm.
So if you don't, right off the bat, if you don't have 100 clicks in a certain time frame, it's going to be very difficult for you to make a good decision there. And then you have to ask yourself, well, what if it has a 0.9% click-through rate? That's every 110 clicks. What if it has a 0.8 every 120 clicks? If something did have a 0.8% conversion rate, would that actually be profitable or unprofitable? So it's important to know like enough data. You want to know what your normal conversion rate is. And I wouldn't ever turn down a time period just because I feel like it should be turned down. I would want at least, like in general, 250 clicks for an e-commerce store in order to start making good decisions.
Mhm.
Per time frame. So I'm talking like Tuesday in the middle of the night, you want at least 250 clicks before you
Yep.
make a decision. Wednesday in the middle of the night, same thing. So that just gives you a good leg up. And then even then, I talk about this in the course too, about how to make bid adjustments. So even then, if you notice that the middle of the night on Tuesday isn't performing well, how much do you turn it down? Do you turn it off completely? Or do you just get cheaper clicks during that time? So I break that down in the course too.
Yeah,
and in
and I think
general,
that kind of goes into this next question too. I'll just pull up here from Mike,
yeah.
and I know this is something you talk about in the course. But yeah, how much should people expect to spend on Google Ads? And I know like you could spend $1 a day if you want to, but if you want that data, it costs more. So, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's this old saying where you walk up to someone and you ask them, how long is a piece of string? And the answer is, what string are we talking about? The string is going to be as long as it is. So you're absolutely right. Like you could spend $1 a day, and you can spend $1 a minute. You can, you can spend unlimited money basically. So in general, here's how to think about it in a very sort of mathematical way. Let's say you have a 1% conversion rate. That means you need 100 clicks in order to get a conversion. How big is your budget that will give you 100 clicks? So let's say you have $100 a month budget and you're paying $1 per click. That means it'll take you a month to get 100 clicks to just get one sale. But if you were to multiply that and get 100 clicks in a day, well, then that would be one sale a day. So in general, the bigger the budget, the more data you get. In fact, it's probably easier to optimize an account that gets 10,000 clicks a month as opposed to one that gets 100 clicks a month. Just because you have so much more data, hey, I should turn my ads off in the middle of the night on Tuesday. And that's something that you maybe can get in a week with a big spending account, but it might be something that's going to take you 3 months with a smaller spending account. Yep. So in general, these are the things that I like to follow. Scaling with profitability. Like a lot of people are bootstrapped. So starting small, getting some early traction, and then scaling. So it's all centered around assuming we have a 1% conversion rate. Try to have some data on what your best converting products will be and try to get them to have 100 clicks. You get that traction, you get that data, and then you already have data that says, hey, if I get 100 clicks to this product, I'm going to get one sale at a good return on ad spend. See how fast you can do that. Like see what the pace is, and like just slowly start making decisions to sort of scale up slowly but surely.
Yeah. Even that's what I always say. Like even if you have all the money in the world too, that doesn't mean you should try to buy, $5,000 worth of data a day at first. You should still work your way up there. And but it's really it's so subjective. But the sooner you spend it, the better data you'll have. Let's see. This next question from Joel. Let me see. I'll pull it up here. It says, what are the top tools or apps for knowing product price comparisons for each product? I know, what we do personally is we just use Google. We go to Google, click on shopping, and type in the product names and SKU numbers. So we don't use anything paid or anything like that. Do you use any tools, Michael, in your company to do any kind of tracking beyond just what Google offers?
Yeah, for Google Ads, it's going to be Google. Simple.
Yep. Yeah. Between Google Analytics, between Google Shopping, between Google Trends, like all the data is just within them. You don't need any like paid extras.
There's tools out there like SEMrush. That's something that we use. SEMrush actually has a shopping ads feature on it, which basically does what you would do manually, which is basically go to Google Shopping and like export that list. They basically scrape it and display it for you. But I mean, you can get the exact same info for free just by searching.
Right. Let's see. I'm going to pull up one more question, but just really quickly, I want to answer Kevin's here that came in. He said, do you recommend setting up my Google Ads account through a brand new Gmail account to keep it separate? Just quickly on that, Kevin, like all your business stuff, keep under separate business stuff, because not just for accounting and keeping it as a separate entity, but when you want to sell it, if you ever do, it's going to make life a lot easier. But let me pull up this question that just came in from Steve, and you're welcome, Joel. But Steve says, what are your thoughts on running ads on all products in your store or only focusing on one type, brand, or sub-niche within your store?
Anton, can I add to the previous question about the personal? We can pull that question back up. I see some strange things that people do sometimes with their setting up their AdWords account. They might think, well, I better use a VPN if I'm not based in the States. Well, I'm going to use a temporary credit card. Well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Google hates stuff like that. So the more straight up you can make all of your data, the better. Let's like try to do it like on the most up and up. Don't try to like fool them. Don't open up accounts with VPNs and all those things, because they know that it's a VPN, and that's like a red flag right there. Like, who's this person? They'd rather actually, if you're in Thailand, it's fine. Like, they know that people travel. Google's an international company. So just something to keep in mind. Try to keep it on the up and up, because you see things like, well, they open it with a VPN and then they don't have it and they use a funky credit card. They're using their personal card, and it's a business account and all these strange things. So try to keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah, it's a good tip. Keep your account safe.
Yeah.
And before we get to the other question, because someone did say about that, they said, we said AdWords. So just so everyone knows, the reason we're calling it Google Ads is because they changed names like 2 weeks ago. It's the same thing. But someone said, it's very strict nowadays. What are your thoughts on Google being strict with their ad policies, I guess, and how they manage accounts?
Yeah, I mean, it's their way to have self-preservation. They know they themselves get into less legal trouble if they have stronger restrictions. Like, I mean, use Facebook as an example. Facebook was always way more lax with all of their restrictions. So you were able to run, I mean, you can still do it. You can run ads for companies on Facebook that you cannot on Google. So like Google will ban certain industries, they'll ban certain supplements, they'll ban tons of different things, and people can get very frustrated with it, especially if you fit into that bucket. But it's their way of sort of keeping their platform as clean as possible and try not to get into some of the trouble that Facebook has gotten into. Yeah. And one thing I'll say, like, even it's funny because PayPal, I used to have the worst things to say about, and Google too. I've had plenty of times that my Google accounts have been, limited. But I'm going to knock on wood. I don't have wood. I'll knock on this thing. But recently, they've been much more helpful. And I don't know if it's because what we spend, but I've spent a lot for a long time, so I don't know. But it seems like as long as you're not actually violating their terms of service and it was some kind of honest mistake, then they are. It's not like your account's gone forever and they're never going to speak to you. So their support is pretty good. And the best way to get that support is go to their website and call them. And that's what I found to work the best. For sure.
Cool. So let's pull out this one then from Steve regarding that running ads on all products or just focusing on one type or brand or something.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to the 80-20 approach, right? 80-20 it is very likely that 80% of your sales will come from your top 20% of products. 80% of your sales might come from the top 20% of your keywords, things like that. So there's like different modes that you can be in, but when you're first starting out, if you do have a limited budget, trying to predict somehow what your top 20% will be is a great way to keep your account like small and focused, especially with a limited budget. As you grow, the goal should be to have the biggest account you can possibly have. So I think it's totally acceptable to sort of focus in on certain product lines when you're first getting started, but that shouldn't be where the goal ends. Like the next goal should be, well, now I have this other product line, which I also want to grow. So what you don't want is to have an account where, you have great products up top that are carrying all the weak performers. Like you don't want, if your average, this is the problem with averages. So if your average return on an ad spend for the entire account is 5, and then you open it up where you have some at 10 return on ad spend, and then you have a whole bunch at like 2, that's what you want to avoid. So in general, you want each brand to sort of be able to stand on its own 2 feet.
Yep. And for anyone that's wondering, like, well, how do I find, that small section of products in the beginning, like that, that'll get me those best results. You still should try to spread your budget, see what's going to, come to the top. But if you want to, and you really have that small budget, just go to your competitors' websites, go to their bestsellers pages and see what they're selling the most of, because chances are that's what you're going to sell the most of also, because that's what sells the most in that industry. So if you do have that limited budget, then not a bad starting place, and reinvest your ads and kind of broaden it from there. This is a really good question from Sebastian. And it says, assuming that Google learns from your campaigns, what's better, generating new campaigns or changing an old one when you're doing major changes?
I love that profile photo Sebastian has too, as that's like a passport. It's like ready to travel. So assuming that Google learns from your campaigns, what's better, creating a new campaign or changing an old one? In general, changing an old one. So there's this concept of quality score, and the funky thing, this is one of the funkiest things that Google still does, is they only list quality score in one spot at the keyword level. But there is a campaign quality score, there's an account level quality score, there's shopping ad quality score, there's quality scores all over the place, and every platform uses them. You know, Facebook calls it a relevance score, Amazon has it too, and they don't list it anywhere. But in general, your account benefits from age, meaning the longer a campaign is running, the more it spends. Google has more data on it, and they like that. They would prefer if they can click their heels together. Well, everyone would have a nice long history of behaving properly, of getting good click-through rates, of playing by the rules and all those things. Every time you create something totally brand new, there is this learning phase. So in general, like when we take over an account, we always, like we call it like nuking everything, like let's just clear out everything and start from the ground up. That's something we do maybe only 5%. Where possible, we try to tweak, we try to modify, we try to improve what's already there because it already has data, it already has momentum. So in general, keep it, modify it, try to improve it. In general, it should be avoided to try to like just blast it to the ground and then rebuild it. That should be avoided.
Yeah, build on what's already there. And that's actually a good point. And, you know, I'm actually curious, like, to get feedback from everyone here right now too. You know, Michael's company, Search Scientists, one of the things that they do is manage different ad accounts. And for people that are like here right now, let's just say you're here and you're doing over 10,000 a month in sales, right? So for everyone here right now has a drop shipping store or just e-commerce in general, and you're doing above 10K a month, would you be more interested to have like Michael's company, for example, take over your ad account and tweak it and make it better? Or would you be more interested in kind of doing what you're doing now, but having them there as almost like a coach to, you know, call upon if anything gets stuck, to give you advice on what to tweak yourself? Like if you had those two options, again, you know, they tend to manage it for you, or they give you advice and consult with you, and you're at that 10K plus a month level. What do you think is a more intriguing, or what would you personally rather have? And let us know in the comments. And yeah, as you're responding to that, let's see, we could pull up another one here. We could do one more. Oh, this is interesting because I know you do hit on the PPC lift in the Google Ads course. This question here is about the best strategies for more organic traffic for an online store.
So that's pretty interesting. So one of the other brand new concepts in paid traffic these days is you can use paid traffic as a direct one-to-one sales mechanism. Meaning you launch an ad, you spend $1, you want to earn $3. What you can also do with paid traffic these days, and what you should be doing with it, is looking at the other traffic channels that you have and amplifying them. So if you do have organic traffic, what keywords are you ranking for? You know, open it up in Search Console and grab that term, bid on it as well. So now you have the organic ranking and you have the paid slot as well. And what you've just done is you've pushed a competitor out of the way. Like there was a competitor there. Now you're bidding on it. So you're taking up more screen real estate. So what might happen is that you might have like a 30% click-through rate for organic and a 3% click-through rate for ads. But then when you combine both of these, you'll end up with, instead of just 30 plus 3, it'll end up being like, you'll end up like 40% click-through rate because you actually moved people out of the way and you're taking their click-through rate as well. So in general, or if you have a YouTube channel, you could amplify that with paid ads as well. So that's one combination. Like every other traffic channel that you do, paid traffic can complement. But in terms of getting organic traffic, I'm definitely a content marketing type of person where what's the content that people are searching to learn more about my products, I'm going to get in front of them there, and then I'm going to retarget them later. So it might be very expensive for you to bid on, if you're selling rowing machines, it might be very expensive for you to bid directly on rowing machine, but it might be really easy for you to create a piece of content, rowing machine workout, and then you rank that, you appear for it, and then you retarget it. Then you get the sale from the retargeting. So you have this organic piece of information, and then you retarget them. So that's how Google organic and Google Ads can work together.
Mhm. Yeah, and for anyone, Michael mentioned earlier briefly about YouTube ads, and people should really be utilizing them, especially for retargeting. And I was actually in our Google Ads account this morning, and I saw like our return on ad spend is a YouTube retargeting campaign, and it's
Yeah.
by far. So something people really, really, really should consider doing. The videos don't have to be some big production. It could be a PowerPoint presentation with you talking
Yeah.
over it. It could be you holding your iPhone out and recording a message. But they get some really good return on ad spend, and they're super cheap to run.
Yeah, I think YouTube ads are the lowest hanging fruit for most ad accounts, just because you can get such good targeting, you can get such inexpensive cost per views, and then you can retarget anyone who's viewed that first one. Then you can retarget them with a very commercial ad and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. Magdalena says, "How do I get started?" How do you get started? You start if you're part of Dropship Lifestyle. The program that we've been talking about, the new Google Ads course, is actually in there already. Again, that's if you're a part of it. Just go to courses.dropshiplifestyle.com, click on Start Courses, and you'll see the link to access it all. We'll also put up, like I did a video the other day. I don't think we posted it yet, but that goes into these concepts a little bit further. So we'll post a link in the chat box also to that, so you can get that. And yeah, I mean, the best way to start spending, like to start running ads, is to start running them. Follow a system always helps. And then it's funny, like the coaching versus done for you. I saw some people did respond in here. So let's see. Jason said he would rather have the advice. Sebastian would rather have the advice. Jeremy said hand over the keys. Rose said consult. Barb said take it over. Kevin said it's all about building the business, so I could work on the business instead of it. It's yours. So it's about 50-50, which is interesting. And I guess, it's not just about like what's better. It's about what's better for you, right? Like if you enjoy, like I still do a lot of my Google ads myself because I actually enjoy it. Like when we started this call, Michael said he sees it, as like a game. It's fun, and it really is. So I don't want to just hand that all off. But some people, maybe you focus on your sales funnel instead. Maybe you focus on better supplier relationships. Maybe you focus on your email marketing. There's tons of different areas in your business. And what's cool about being a small business or a small team or a solopreneur is you could focus where you want to focus, and you could utilize services like Michael's to not have to be in there all day.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. So let me see here. Some people just said, thank you. You are welcome. Janine said, just starting, but if I was at the 10K a month, I would want someone else to do the work. So yeah, it's a little bit, I think we have one more vote for take it over rather than do it yourself. But let's see, I don't think any other questions came in at this point. What I would say though, I'm not sure, I can only see like through this app I'm using right now, comments from other people, but we'll make sure that we post up like our resources as well for places for you to access the course that, again, you already have access to if you're part of Dropship Lifestyle, or how you can get access if you're not part of the community yet. Maybe we could take a couple more questions if anything comes in, but Michael, do you have anything else you would want to add at this point, or?
I think I think we covered a lot. Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, we did. Cool. We could take, let's do one more for Sebastian here. I know he's let's see, how do you usually put products together in ad groups by similar target return on ad spend, by brand or by product type?
So there's so much to say. One of the things, so when you're first starting out, a more simple approach is always going to be easier. So when you're first starting out and maybe you don't know how different things will behave, you want something that gives you the most segmentation that doesn't get in the way of optimization. So, I mean, you could go totally nuts and you could do one product per campaign and end up with like 5,000 campaigns or something like that. But that would be a huge impediment towards actually managing it. So then you would say, well, let me put similar products together. And that's like in generally a really, really easy place to start. So, if you have five different brands, you just have 5 different campaigns, and that's pretty much it. Now, over time, that could evolve. As you start to zero in on what your target return on ad spends should be, maybe you take that one brand and you have some products in this brand with a return on ad spend of 5 target, and maybe another one with 10. So you would just take that one brand where everything is in one, and then over time you say, now it's time to break this out because I have different return on ad spend targets. So that is that's generally how I think about it. Start easy, let the data roll in over time. If it makes sense for you to do it, start breaking things out. Because if you only have like one product with a different return on ad spend target, it probably doesn't make sense to break it out. But if you have dozens of them, then it does make a lot of sense to sort of split those things out.
Yeah.
So my answer there is, yeah. You want as much segmentation without it getting in the way of actually optimizing.
Cool.
So start broad, start general, and then get more precise over time.
Yeah. And what's good too is I see there's some more questions that came in, but like pretty much all of them, I've either like we've made video on already, like Michael has made a video on it, or I have made a video as part of Dropship Weekly, or some of them might be answered in the podcast. So what I'll do, like once I can go to our Facebook page after this, is I'll post like links as comments to everyone's questions. So, feel free to, even after this thing is over, just keep commenting on this thread, and I'll do my best with the team to direct you to like the resource that would help you. But yeah, I think, based on like the time that we had, we got a lot of good questions in. And definitely, if you're part, again, of Dropship Lifestyle and you have not been through the new Google Ads course yet, go through it. Like the night that Michael sent over the videos, I watched them all myself, like right away, just because it's always good. Like even if you're watching this right now and you're doing 6 figures a month in sales, it's always good to get a refresher and never stop learning. So if you're brand new, if you're experienced, doesn't matter, go back through it and then just keep asking questions, because yeah, that's how we learn. So yeah, thank you, Michael, for hanging out, and thank you everyone for hanging out for a little bit. Hope you got some value from this. And again, I'll post links to your questions.
All right, thanks so much, Anton. Thanks, everybody.
See ya. Bye.